Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over a potential Blank Gameweek 28 free hit draft if you are thinking of playing it this week. So if you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment, what are you doing with your team for Game Week 28, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, of course, whether you should free hit this week is completely team dependent. If you wildcarded in Game Week 26 or 7, you probably don't need to free hit this week. If you didn't wildcard, you may need to free hit. Of course, there is another big blank coming up later on in the season where a lot of people are kind of deciding to wait for that for their free hit. I'm going to be waiting for that. I'm set up for Game Week 28 regardless because obviously I just wildcarded, so I don't have to free hit this week. But if you are thinking of free hitting, this is a potential draft that you could kind of take inspiration from. I quite like this draft. I did just throw it together. I mean, most free hit drafts are going to look relatively similar anyway, just simply because there's only so many teams playing, and from those teams you just kind of want the best players. But anyway, in goal we do have Raya and Kepa. Again, it could be any combination of keepers really. Kepa is probably the keeper that I would play this week. I just feel like Chelsea are more likely to keep a clean sheet at home to Everton than Brentford are to keep a clean sheet at home to Leicester. So that's why I've gone Kepa, but there's a lot of other good options as well. There's Martinez for Villa, who's obviously got Bournemouth at home. You could go Nick Pope, who's got Forest away. Obviously, you could go Ramsdale, who's got Crystal Palace at home. Crystal Palace haven't, I think, had a shot on target in like the last 3 games or something, so definitely looking like a clean sheet for Arsenal this week. So yeah, there's a lot of good options this week, but I've gone Kepa just because he's cheaper. Money's not really a massive issue this week in terms of players to have in your team, just because a lot of the big hitters aren't going to be playing, such as Salah, Haaland's not going to be playing, players like that. So yeah, you can kind of distribute your funds elsewhere. But either way, in goal we do have Kepa and Raya. At the back, we've got Henry, who's got Everton at home. We've got Zinchenko, who's got Crystal Palace at home. Trippier and Botman, who have got Forest away. And then Chilwell, who's got Everton at home. So, really, you can just kind of gut feeling this back line and who you'd want to play. Of course, you could go Gabriel instead of Zinchenko if you really wanted to. He did just come out with that big haul in the last game with that big 14-pointer. So, yeah, you could play Gabriel instead of Zinchenko. Again, these are the kind of decisions that make or break the free hit. Because, obviously, if you go Zinchenko and then Gabriel pops off, you're not going to be happy. If you go Gabriel and then Zinchenko pops off, you're not going to be happy. It's just one of those things. Trippier and Botman as well, double Newcastle defense. I don't know if I would go double Newcastle defense just because I feel like at home we can score against anybody, and I think that Newcastle have been a little bit leaky at the back lately. So I generally think at the City Ground we could score against Newcastle. So I'd probably in this draft play Zinchenko, Trippier and Chilwell, and then just have Botman and Henry on the bench. But yeah, you could go double Newcastle defense if you wanted to. You could even play Henry if you wanted to instead. But yeah, for this draft, I think I would go Zinchenko, Trippier, and Chilwell. But I really like Chilwell as an option this week. I'm also thinking about bringing him in myself. He just looks like such a good player lately. There's always that injury doubt as well. And of course, with Champions League coming up, his minutes may get rotated quite a bit, especially because Cucurella could easily play in that position as well. So that's always something you've got to take into consideration when going forward. Obviously, on a free hit draft, you don't have to think about that because you've got him this week and then that's it. But if you are bringing him longer term, you have to kind of think about those sort of things. So yeah, for this draft, I would play Zinchenko, Trippier, and Chilwell at the back. In midfield, we've got Ødegaard, Saka, Son, Maddison, and Billing. Again, Billing's just for the bench, someone that can come in if need be. Maddison is a little bit of a differential this week. Brentford away, I think he is capable of scoring in that game. Another reason that I'd play Kepa over Raya is because you obviously have Maddison. On a free hit draft, you don't really want your players playing each other because it just minimizes your points that you could potentially get. Because obviously, if Maddison scores, it means Raya wouldn't really get a haul, and vice versa. You know, if Maddison doesn't score and Raya hauls, you know, it's not going to be helpful. So to maximize potential, you don't want any of your players playing each other. So yeah, I've gone Maddison just for a little bit of a differential this week. I think he's a really good option going forward regardless, even if you're bringing him in as a transfer. He's got a really nice double in 29, and then he's got Bournemouth. City's not great, but then Wolves at home as well. So some really nice fixtures for Leicester. I know they've not been too good lately, but their XG was actually quite high against Chelsea. I think they were unlucky not to get more than 1 goal. So yeah, Maddison, I feel like, has got a haul in him. He is playing with that small injury though, so that's another thing that I'm kind of just waiting on to hear more information about, see what Rogers says. I'm not going to be bringing him in this week, obviously, but yeah, I kind of need to know the situation with him going further, just simply because I do really want him for that double in 29. It's a really nice double, so we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, Maddison is a really good option this week, I think, as long as he's fit. Son, I think, is also a bit of a diffie. I think Southampton away just plays for Son's kind of the counter and stuff. I mean, I know that Southampton just kept a clean sheet, and they have kept a clean sheet like 3 in the last 4 or something, which is a bit crazy. But I feel like if United didn't have Casemiro sent off, I think that United would have scored in that game. They were unlucky not to score anyway. There's a lot of players hitting the post in that game for both teams. So yeah, how that finished 0-0, I have no idea. But yeah, I think Son is a really nice option this week. You could even triple Spurs this week if you wanted to. If you didn't feel comfortable going for, I don't know, another Newcastle defender, you could always bring in like Dyer or something like that. You could also bring in Kulusevski or something like that as well if you really want to do it. I think Kulusevski's fine anyway. I'm not actually sure if he's injured. I feel like he's not really done anything. No, he is available. You could also have Richarlison as well. I don't know. That could be another player you bring in. Triple Spurs I don't think is terrible this week. So if you wanted to go another Spurs option over Maddison, I quite like that as well, because Southampton is quite a nice team to target. But yeah, I've gone Son as well. And then Saka and Ødegaard as well. Of course, this is up for debate. I mean, Saka I think has to be a staple. But Ødegaard, you know, Martinelli is also an option. But the fact that Jesus is back now, I think that might hurt Martinelli's minutes a little bit. Whether Jesus starts the Crystal Palace game, I'm not too sure. But on a free hit, you don't really want to be taking that chance. And, you know, if Martinelli doesn't start and Trossard starts, because both Martinelli and Trossard have been playing really, really well lately. So it's like, who's going to start? I mean, Mikel would probably want to play them both. So he might keep the same tactic going forward until Jesus is back. But, yeah, I think Jesus is going to make the minutes of both Trossard and Martinelli a little bit up in the air. You could even go Trossard if you really wanted to. If you felt that Trossard would start this week, I would like him a little bit more as an option instead of Ødegaard. But again, he could come off for Jesus or anybody like that. So that's the kind of thing you have to think about. Whereas Saka and Ødegaard, you know, pretty much nailed 90 minutes. I know they both, I think Saka came off quite early actually on like the 70th minute, but the game was won, so there was no reason to risk him. He is their kind of talisman going forward. So yeah, the Arsenal double up you kind of have to get right. So I'm guessing most people will go for a defender this week. You could even triple Arsenal midfield if you really wanted to, and then just play like Trippier, Botman and Chilwell, and then in midfield instead of Maddison you could have Ødegaard, Saka, and then Trossard or Martinelli. I like that as well. It's quite a nice option. And again, Crystal Palace, they don't look too good at the moment. I think Arsenal will score quite a few goals in that game. So that's another kind of avenue you could take if you really wanted to. But either way, that is the midfield. Obviously, Billing is just on the bench. I don't really need to talk about him. If you don't have the money to go Billing, you just go for somebody else instead. Up top, we've gone a little bit different. We've gone Havertz, Watkins, and Kane. Getting these 3 right is going to be interesting. Obviously, Kane has to be a staple. He has to be on the team. Very much a captaincy shout this week along with Saka. Watkins and Havertz, though, you've also got Tony in the mix. So it's kind of Watkins, Havertz, or Tony. Who do you go with? Tony's got Leicester at home. Havertz has got Everton at home, and Watkins has got Bournemouth at home. All 3 of them are on penalties. All 3 of them are playing well lately. It's just who do you go with? Like, who do you? It's very much one of those gut feeling things. Like, nothing is kind of separating them. None of them got an away fixture. Like I say, they're all on penalties. So yeah, getting these right is going to be quite difficult. I just feel like Bournemouth at home is a really nice fixture for Watkins. I think that he will score in that game. And yeah, Bournemouth, I know they just beat Liverpool, but Aston Villa look really, really good lately. And I've gone Havertz as well for Everton at home. Again, I think that's a game that Havertz will score in as well. I mean, Tony can easily score against Leicester. I just feel like Leicester, I don't know, I think they're a little bit, I don't know, because Leicester have been awful lately. Honestly, it's just a coin toss. Like, who do you really feel like going with more? It's very much a gut feeling kind of decision if you are on a free hit draft. That is a situation you're going to have. There's also like Iheanacho as well if you really wanted to against Brentford, but I think these 3 options, Tony, Havertz and Watkins, are the ones you're going to be playing with, and you have to have Kane as well. So yeah, you've got 3 players to fill those 2 last forward spots. So this is the free hit draft that I've come up with. Like I say, I quite like it. I think that it's capable of scoring quite a few points. Again, there's different things you could change about it. You know, you could go Gabriel over Zinchenko. You could just completely take out the Arsenal defender and just go triple Arsenal midfield. You could go triple Spurs. There's a lot of options. You know, there's also a Villa defender if you wanted to. Like I say, instead of Zinchenko, I'd probably bring in Mings, and then instead of Maddison, I'd bring in a Martinelli or a Trossard or something like that. It would look something, because obviously Mings isn't expensive at all, so you can easily afford it. And then I'd drop him down to a, let's just go Martinelli if you wanted to. And I'd go something like this, which is also something I quite like. And I guess for the back line, I'd probably play I'd probably play Mings, Trippier, and Chilwell. I think that Villa could definitely keep a clean sheet against Bournemouth. I don't know. I just feel like we're definitely scoring against Newcastle. I don't know. Maybe that's just a little bit too biased. But at home, we're pretty decent. I mean, we scored against City, so why can't we score against Newcastle? But anyway, yeah, that's the kind of free hit draft that I've come up with. If you guys enjoy, drop a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you're doing with your Blank Game Week 28 team. Best of luck for tonight's fixtures if you've got anyone playing. And until next time, have a great day and peace.